What's up, my G's? It's Quit My Day Job here. We're going to be doing an Apex Legends Season 3 Legends Composition Guide. We're going to go through each of the legends. I'm here with my good friend who you may know from either previous YouTube videos or my Twitch streams.
Hey, I'm Kao. I play Wraith.
Gotta love Cal. So, as I mentioned, we're going to be going through each of the legends, assuming that most of you may be clicking on this video, not knowing a ton about each of the legends themselves. We're going to go through the balance changes that were live with Season 3, as well as our general consensus of their pros, cons, and whether or not they should be used this season. Now, before we jump into dissecting each one of these legends and our recommendations, if you look in the description below, if there's a specific legend you want to know more about and are only here for that one or a selection of a few, feel free to head to the description and click those below. You could also skip towards the end and go to the part where we talk about how we think the legends should be put together and what we think the current legend composition for Season 3 should be. First up, we've got Bloodhound. Bloodhound is classified as a technical tracker with a passive that allows him to see tracks left behind by his foes. They vanish after approximately 90 seconds. His tactical ability has a cooldown of 35 seconds and briefly reveals hidden enemies, traps, and clues throughout structures ahead of you. It allows a 125-degree cone in front of you to see all enemies, and the tracking lasts for approximately 1.5 seconds and allows you to see sonar detected on your HUD if there are enemies or other items present. His ultimate, Beast of the Hunt, enhances his senses, allowing him to move faster and highlight his prey. It increases his speed by approximately 30% and allows your vision to turn black and white with the exception of enemies, which are highlighted red. It lasts about 35 seconds and has a 180-second cooldown. Now, at the beginning of Season 3, the balance changes gave Bloodhound changes to his tactical, Eye of the Allfather, reduced the animation time to activation by 30%, and now immediately tells you how many targets have been pinged. His ultimate, Beast of the Hunt, had a fix with the FOV scaling, messing up ADS aim sensitivity, causing his increase in speed to also increase ADS sensitivity. This is now changed amongst a few of the speed-based legends within Apex Legends. The reduced animation time to activation by 30% is also applied to Beast of the Hunt, increased movement speed bonus from 25 to 30%. The pros of Bloodhound is that the tracker class has a nice speed boost and ability to let you know where enemies are for a short period of time. However, his con is that he has no evade outside of his ultimate and a poor passive with limited usability, especially given the size of World's Edge. Our general consensus is do not use as the pros and buffs do not outweigh the need for mobility in World's Edge, and the limited amount of opportunities to use your ultimate as well as the noise that it makes alerting your enemies does not make it a great option currently in the balance situation of Apex Legends. Next up on the list, we have Gibraltar. His passive ability is his gun shield. It allows him to have 75 additional hit points when aiming down sight. His tactical ability is a dome of protection, allowing him to place down a dome around himself and his teammates. Can be entered into by enemies. However, it allows protection from other players generally while being shot at. His ultimate is a defensive bombardment. It's an area strike that can be called in. It does allow players to move away from it, so it's not immediate. There is some delay to it. However, Gibraltar received a massive buff this season. He's a great team player and he has carryable coverage between his dome shield and his gun shield. He received increased healing this season with 25% increased healing while under the dome shield to himself and also his enemies if they're able to get in there while you're using it. The cons to him is he has a massive hitbox. He's one half of the Girthquake, or as I like to call the Dummy Thick Boys, between himself and Caustic. That he has no evade. Imagining how quickly he can move as being that large is probably minimal. And he also has his gun shield that it blocks a portion of his FOV. My general consensus is a strong use. His buff gives him 275 hit points with level 3 or better armor, killing buff, and multiple use cases for positioning with his ultimate, and it deals a large damage. He's a must-use for me this season.
Next up is Lifeline. Her passive is Combat Medic. When she revives a downed teammate, it will revive quicker. That's really cool, guys. And there is a shield in front of her, protecting you from the front from all incoming gunfire. The shield is invincible and is always around when you're reviving your teammate. Her passive also comes with the ability to heal 25% faster, so you can get some quick heals while in sticky situations. Her doc is the Drone of Compassion. It automatically heals those near it over time. It can get a max of 100 health on 2 players, or about 150 or about 50 health on 3 players. Her ultimate, the Care Package, you can call in a dropship of 3 items of high tier loot. They cannot be golden except for the golden thermal scope. Pros for her are she has a small hitbox and 25% faster healing for yourself. Her forward shield and faster revive of teammates is helpful in ranked play. Cons is she has minimal opportunity to use her ultimate, and it gives your position away to enemies. Her forward shield is easily countered, and there is really no evade to her. General consensus is that, depending on your legend composition, Lifeline may fit, but it requires very, very mobility-based legends, suggestions being Pathfinder or Wraith. Straight out of Lifeline's hospital bed, diagnosed with a severe case of anorexia, we have Pathfinder. His passive, Insider Knowledge, allows him to scan a survey beacon, revealing the next ring's location. This is helpful for rotations. His grapple hook, which has been nerfed in its recent patch, is a hook that allows you to grapple away. The zipline gun is a gun that launches a zipline in a straight direction, and it does not have an infinite range, although its range is not able to be calculated because not everything has been tested, and it differs beyond the scaling of a mountain to the scaling of a building. Pros for Pathfinder is that he has the best mobility in the game, even considering the nerf. His ability to quickly move in and out of fights with very shifty evade maneuvers and a tricky hitbox is quite helpful when you're at low health. And the ability to provide movement for your entire team onto high ground is great for ranked play. Cons is that he has a very, very poor passive. He's the low profile debuff, which allows incoming damage to be increased by 5%, and his grappling hook requires a high skill gap. There is a recommended strong use for this character, and it is almost necessary to win fights when you get this kind of positioning. Straight from an IMC facility, we have Wraith. Her passive ability, Voices from the Void, allows her to hear danger when it approaches, in the form of a grenade, a sniper aiming at you, or when someone's near you while you're looting. Her tactical, Into the Void, allows her to reposition to anywhere on the map as long as you can reach it while in normal state. In this void state, you are invincible for 6 seconds, and you are virtually invisible to the enemy, leaving only a small contrail behind you. Her ultimate, the Dimensional Rift, is a portal that can go between 2 places with 100% charge that goes down 1% per meter. It stays up for 60 seconds and can be used by your teammates until its time is depleted. Pros for Wraith is that she has very efficient movement and a perfect evade capability when you are in a terrible situation. She has quite an easy playstyle, and it doesn't take long to learn how to use her, unless you are going to be a pro, of course. And she is definitely one of the most useful team players, especially in rank comp. Her cons is that she has a low profile debuff, that her tactical can be buggy, in which you may activate it at one time and it'll activate some other time in the future, not when you wanted it to. Her ultimate cannot be cancelled like most other mobility-based legends, and she's extremely popular, so she may be taken from you while you are random queuing. General consensus is that it is a strong use to play this character, and that you should probably do it in ranked. It's great for ranked. Teammates will love you.
Next up, we've got Bangalore. Bangalore is considered to be a professional soldier, specifically the Marines. Bangalore's passive is double time. While taking fire, sprinting makes you move faster for a brief period. The tactical is a smoke launcher. It fires a high velocity smoke canister that explodes into a smoke wall on impact. And the ultimate is Rolling Thunder. It allows you to call in an artillery strike that slowly creeps across the landscape before exploding. This season, Rolling Thunder was increased from 20 damage to 40 damage per impact on the enemy team. This does not have an effect on your teammates, except for that it may slow them down slightly, briefly, but it will not deal damage. While this is a benefit for Bangalore, the increased damage, it does make it a little bit more viable for this season. That being said, my thoughts on Bangalore for the pros are that the passive provides an opportunity to evade, and the tactical can provide useful temporary cover, and the ultimate is great for choking and gaining positioning advantage. There's a low skill gap to learn this playstyle. The cons are that the passive is only active while being shot at and is for a brief period of time. The tactical is easy to be hit by, bullets spray through, and the ultimate does minimal damage and has very specific use case opportunities. Now, my general consensus has been for at least the last couple seasons is do not use. Many of the abilities are reactive and more of an afterthought for most players than a strategic opportunity, except for using the ultimate for positioning. It's very specific use case, and so therefore I continue to not use Bangalore. Like I said, please don't. No, the buff was not that good. Next up, we have the second half of the dummy thick boy squad, Caustic. Caustic is a toxic trapper. His passive is fortified. It reduces his damage taken by 15% and is immune to slow effects from weapon fire. Most importantly, he is able to see through toxic gas of enemies as well as his own and is not affected. His tactical is he has Nox gas traps. He drops canisters that release deadly Nox gas when shot or triggered by enemies. These can be easily evaded by enemies by shooting the bottom. His Nox gas grenade blankets a large area in Nox gas, deals 4 damage for 10 seconds for every second spent in the gas. All of these gas-based tactical or ultimate causes reduced vision for the enemies. Caustic, in terms of pros, is cannot be damaged and has visibility through enemy caustic gas. He has great usability in close quarters between passive gas canisters and ultimate gas grenade. He can quickly shift tide of engagements with the enemy, and he has a medium level of skill gap that simply requires time played. His cons are no evade, and like I said, he's part of Girthquake, dummy thick boy. He has a massive hitbox. He's slow and situational tactical and easy to counter with very timing based tacticals and ultimates. Many passive and ultimate or uses can have bugs to them. No deploy because it goes through a stair or crack is extremely ineffective for you and your team and can leave you high and dry if it does not go off. The general consensus is that it's a do not use except when paired with specific other legends like Wattson and or Pathfinder, as mobility is low and playstyle is very specific to close quarters.
Now we have Mirage. You know, there's a lot to say about this character. Mainly that's trash, but hey, you can play him to make good pork chops. You see, his recipe is on his loading screen. So guys, just get that, and you're set.
All right, moving very quickly on. Yes, pun intended. We've got Octane, the high-speed daredevil. His passive is the Swiftman, automatically restores health over time, 1 health every 2 seconds. His tactical is the Stim, moves 30% faster for 6 seconds. It does cost health of 10 health to use this. His ultimate is a launch pad. He deploys a jump pad that catapults anyone through the air, himself or enemies. It can be destroyed by gunfire or grenades. That said, he did receive a slight adjustment. They fixed an issue with the FOV scaling being messed up by ADS aim sensitivity, meaning when he used his stim, the ADS was increased as well, so they adjusted this. I'm personally an Octane main. I have the most time played and the most eliminations on him. He has a useful passive with Swiftman. His tactical is extremely good for rotating and playing aggressive as well as evading with a relatively small hitbox. His ultimate has very specific use cases and can be mastered to benefit and position you or your team. His cons are the Swiftman is canceled when shot at and loses 10 health when using the tactical ability, putting him at a disadvantage when in a fight. His ultimate has very predictable travel pattern and increases his vulnerability and limits his use cases. Also, in my personal opinion, he has a unique footstep sound, which is easily identifiable. My general consensus is that he can be used when playing aggressively and at times in lieu of Pathfinder, depending on the team comp. It can be iffy with use in competitive or ranked play, but has his benefits with mobility and given the size of World's Edge, may be useful for you. Next up, we've got Wattson. She's the static defender. She gets this name because her papa was part of the reason that the defenses were in place in Kings Canyon before we moved to World's Edge, as we learned in Season 2. That being said, one of her passives is that instead of charging a bit of your ultimate, you can use ultimate accelerants to fully charge it, and standing near an Inception pylon boosts your tactical ability recharge. Now, she does have low profile, meaning it increases incoming damage by 5%, similar to Wraith. Her tactical is perimeter security. She can connect nodes to create electrified fences that damage and slow enemies. She can place 12 nodes in total and do up to 20 meters of distance with the fences. The damage is 10 each tick. This is extremely powerful and can help you set up a defense perimeter. Her ultimate is placing an electrified pylon that destroys incoming ordinances, meaning any throwable, grenades, etc., and repairs damaged shields as long as it stands. It recharges 5 shield per second. The pylon health is 150 health. That being said, her pros are that the tactical is situational and it can show where enemies are located and deal some damage while doing so. It's one of the better tacticals in the game, in my opinion. The ultimate is a great defensive ultimate and allows time for you to heal/shield up. The cons are that the passive is not good nor bad. There's no evade, and the slightly larger hitbox plus low profile, as well as the ultimate being easily destroyed or countered, makes her somewhat of a non-usable character, which leads me to my general consensus. Due to World's Edge's map size, I would not use. She has no rotation abilities, and honestly, her only redeemable quality is the tactical. There's minimal benefit to the team composition, and honestly, she's just not in a great balanced state right now, given her passive, ultimate, and tactical. So I would not use.
Lastly, we have Crypto. Crypto's passive, Neurolink, allows his teammates to see anything from his drone's surveillance in a 30-meter radius of the drone. This means through walls and through any object on the map. His surveillance drone can be deployed and can be traversed throughout the landscape in a vertical and a horizontal angle and go up to 300 meters away. When enemies pass by the drone, they are scanned and are shown to the entire team. His ultimate, Drone EMP, is a great starter for a fight. You can deal 50 damage to all the enemy's shields, and it slows targets for 3 seconds. This is just like an arc star when it hits an enemy. Some pros for Crypto is that he has an amazing passive, keeping his teammates safe constantly and revealing locations for upcoming engagements. His drone tactical can be moved 300 meters, and he has no cooldown unless it is destroyed. Crypto's ult is arguably the best ultimate to use when beginning an engagement, because you can get the quick start and the quick damage onto the enemies while they are still slowed. Cons is that he is stationary almost all of the time when he's using his abilities. All of his abilities are quite easy to counter unless they are positioned well. He can damage himself with his ultimate, and he can stun teammates with his ultimate. His drone is a one-shot kill, doesn't matter what gun you have. Crypto is definitely a strong use during this season's comp, and if you'd like to see more info on Crypto, you can check out a previous video by Clark.
All right, now that we've moved through each of the breakdowns of the legends and what we think the pros and cons are, as well as some of the changes that have been made this season and how we think they've adjusted their usability, Kao and I are going to go through what we think is the most optimal legend squad currently in the game for Season 3. We're going to talk about why we selected this comp, how it benefits you, and then generally just have a discussion about it. So hopefully you enjoy.
So what are your thoughts on the squads for this season?
Yeah, for me personally, I think that there's a very specific composition. I think World's Edge really changed how the game is going to be played right now, considering the map size and just how the buildings are set up. There's a lot more high surfaces and a lot more distance between each POI. So really what I think is a major composition, and I think both of us are going to have this first character, is Pathfinder. Even with the nerf of the grapple, I think Pathfinder has to be included. I think his ultimate of being able to move you from area to area given the map size, and then also get into tough spaces and then get out with that evade. I just think he's still extremely powerful, and honestly may even need a little bit of a nerf again to his grapple, or maybe the cooldown, or how long he has until he can use his grapple. I think you brought up a good point. We don't know how far he can move, right? So I think it's pretty interesting to me. The second one, I think either a Wraith or an Octane. I'm going to go with an and/or, right? I'm partial to the Octane. I think you need a character that's going to be able to get you in and out of areas, create changes, or create an imbalance in the play. I think Wraith brings a great opportunity with being able to use the phase to get away and evade from people, as well as using the portal for a tactical advantage, whether you're in ranked or not. And then Octane provides a very similar benefit. Just like you can use, Wraith's portal to get someone out of zone, you can also throw them a bounce pad. It doesn't go as far and doesn't provide as many benefits, but it's still useful. And he can, operate as a nice secondary to your Pathfinder to push into close quarters. The last is, I think both of us might have this, is crypto. I think crypto has to be used, and it's not for the reason that you're necessarily thinking. I think he actually provides a large downside for your team in that he's not mobile and doesn't have an evade. But I think the reason he's extremely important has to do with being able to counter Gibraltar. I think Gibraltar is going to be extremely powerful this season. And I almost considered putting Gibraltar in my composition, but I think that his ultimate, being able to take out his shield dome, is massive. It literally limits Gibraltar and the rest of his team if you can get it off.
I agree with all of that there, except for I'll still go over mine and why my reasons.
Yeah.
And I would change one thing. So anyway, definitely starting with Pathfinder, exact same reasons why. There's a lot of height on this map. The mountains are great, and there are some parts of the map that are not accessible by any other legends, such as Sniper Mountain, that hold special loot, such as snipers on Sniper Mountain. You can't get shotguns, you can't get pistols, and only Pathfinder can get you guys there. Then I see definitely Wraith over Octane, mainly because her ultimate ability definitely allows for further travel than Octane's does, although his makes for more vertical travel. It's really, like you said, it's iffy. It depends on who you like to play. If you like to play height or if you like to play low ground. I'm just not a fan of Octane's abilities or his height, so I go with a Wraith on my squad. I think that problem is that you need to be with your team at all times, and that Pathfinder already allows you to get high ground on the opponent, and you can get a quick jump in there, and then Wraith can use the Q to go into the void without people seeing her, and you can it's almost as if you were third partying, like they don't know you were there.
Yeah,
and
the
Octane,
cooldown is what gets me.
Yeah, but Octane also runs into a fight with 10 less health and also a passive regeneration that doesn't activate unless he's out of the fight.
It's a good
That's
point.
my whole thing on it.
Yeah, I see it, right? His stim does regenerate, like every 2 seconds? So he's able to get back out, but he does get hurt.
Yeah. And also, I'm pretty sure that if you're in a 50-meter radius of the enemy still, after that you have been fighting, it does not work. I could be wrong on that, though. Yeah. The last I would say, it's really hard between Crypto and Gibraltar.
Yeah,
but I'd have to say Gibraltar. I feel more. I'm more Team Gibraltar for that one. Crypto is a good counter for Gibraltar, and Gibraltar is a good counter for Crypto. Gibraltar's ultimate is great for when Crypto's in his drone, because he can't deactivate the things that are falling out of the sky, and if he's stationary, then he's going to have a hard time getting out of that ultimate, especially without any of his team with him or protecting him, because, let's be honest, half your team is probably defending themselves while fighting a Gibraltar. And the passive gun shield adds 275 health on initial blast and can soak up an entire Kraber shot, which is low-key busted. It does also protect from the entire charge rifle shot, because for some reason it kind of regenerates while you're being shot with a thing, so your shield can't go down. It's a great counter to the charge rifle, which is insanely meta right now.
Yeah. No, I don't hate it. Sorry, go ahead.
And his dome, 3 compared to Lifeline's forward protection, faster revive, and passive healing for herself. You have a normal speed revive, 25% healing for your entire team while in a 360-degree cover. So that's just me, though.
No, I actually, and you know me, I've been trying out Gibraltar a lot. I do think he's meta. I've been thinking about team comps to counter. No, and I was like, what are we gonna see a ton of in season 3? And I'm like, you know what? Gibraltar is gonna be effing everywhere. And I was like, you know what? I almost want to create, I'm more of, hey, let me react to what I think I'm going to be facing this game or this match and go from there. And so I had a really hard time, but I was like, you know what? I feel like Crypto, I think with the smaller hitbox, and he is a little bit shifty to hit. I do think the hit reg on him is a little weird, but that's speculation. And so, I wonder if he provided some extra benefit that we can't necessarily quantify. And I think, if you send in Crypto's drone without being there, if someone's trying to heal, not only do you break down the dome, you can also damage the other players in there and quickly clean up. So while it has vulnerabilities, I think we can go back and forth. I do think that the thing we can agree on is you need to have one of those two in there.
Yeah,
you have
definitely.
to. For your non-mobility based player, you have to have, or for more of like a positioning and like a general team strategic advantage player, it's got to be Crypto or Gibraltar. So, given that, I think it sounds like Pathfinder is a must-have. I think
Pathfinder is a must-have. Yeah.
I think it could be questionable. I do agree with you that Wraith is probably a must-have. I'm partial to Octane though. I definitely am. I can't lie about that. And then, I'm gonna stick with my Crypto because I want to play active against the teams I'm going against. And so I'm gonna stay there. Even after this discussion, I think that's gonna be my 3 I'd run with. What about you?
Yeah. I'm sticking with what I've got. I'm liking the Gibby meta right now. Loving the Pathfinder, unless you're like someone named Longbow and don't help the team at all.
Agreed. Well, Cal, I appreciate you again taking the time to be here, do this with me. We've done a ton of things together. This is obviously new for us, but appreciate you being
Definitely.
here.
Thank you
I'm
for
I'm
having
very
me.
excited to do this, and obviously, if people enjoyed this, they should comment their favorite part. If there's a specific topic you would like to hear us cover, please let us know, and don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell. I'll have Cal's information below, but again, Cal, thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you later. Peace, my G's.
I hate my day job. I don't feel it. I don't day job.